Hello, hello.
Cora's here. I know we'll see her momentarily. Just to tell you all who are present, which is mostly us, we will be recording, as you know, and sharing this with all the people that get our newsletter and anybody interested seeing our website. So, though we may sometimes not have that many people present, we expect to be able to share this more widely than who comes today.
Could I also get a copy?
You can get a copy. We can put you on the mailing list, but you don't have to get on the mailing list to get a copy.
Okay,
The answer is yes.
thank you.
Great. All right, so I think we should go ahead and begin. I'm looking forward to folks seeing this live or recorded, and we are recording this now. So for all of you, you know that. We will be sending the recording link and also a little write-up with this information to help you use this information in your life as a caregiver. And that is really who we hope to be talking to here. My name is Susan Musicant. I'm a physical therapist, and I'm certified geriatric PT and have worked in the field for many years. And it is my honor to be working with caregivers now. I will introduce Melanie Antioquia, who
Hello.
will introduce herself now for a minute. That'd be lovely.
I'm Melanie Antioquia. I'm the on-call occupational therapist for Daybreak. I've been in OT for over 20 years. So I'm happy to be here and share what I can.
Hi, my name is Christine Chan, and I am a caregivers coach as well as a current caregiver amongst several of my elderly family for about 20 years now. So, quite a bit of experience with caregiving, and I just have to say thank you for having me today.
Great. So we will dive in now, and we'll take
Awesome.
turns presenting the information for you.
All right. So let's all think about the bathroom. And in the bathroom we have the toilet. So when looking at the toilet that you help your care receiver on and off of, try to look at to see if the person has a trouble getting on and off the toilet. Because if the person does, the toilet might be too low. So if the toilet is too low, there's several things that you can do. The first is a toilet riser, and basically it's about like 2 to 3 inches high, and you just put it over the toilet and it clamps over the toilet. It's a bit challenging, but that's an option. Another option is to use a over the toilet commode, which is you see a picture of it here. Oftentimes they have that in hospitals, and when someone's discharged from the hospital, that is sometimes something that they will discharge someone with. And you can put that over the toilet, which has a splash guard, which you want. And then because you can adjust the height of the legs, so that will make it a little higher. And then it has the armrests. Another option is to put a grab bar, like an angled grab bar, um, next to the toilet if it's too low, because then it'll help someone get up off the toilet. So those are options there. Also, when looking at the toilet, you want to find out, is it a round or elongated toilet? Because if, for example, you are to purchase a toilet riser, you want to make sure to get the right one. And there's also in this picture is toilet safety rails, and that's the picture at the top with the rails on the side. And for that, that's just if someone needs help with transferring on and off the toilet. So it just gives them the hand support for that. So one thing to mention about the toilet safety rail, you can also just put one. So for example, sometimes bathrooms have different different ways that it's structured, the you can play around with that. So you can have either one or two. Just one more thing to mention about the over the toilet commode. When considering using it, say for example, someone has trouble even getting to the bathroom, you might want to consider putting it next to the bed. So it just allows for a safer way to use the toilet, especially at night when someone might be groggy or prone to falling. You want to position the commode right next to the bed to make it easier for someone. Also to mention, you'd probably want to put a chuck underneath that area. Okay.
Great, thank you, Melanie. Moving on to the next important thing one does in the bathroom, which is bathing. And this is because we know the bathroom floor can be slippery. And there are these options that are really important for maintaining safety. We started out here talking about the tub transfer bench, and you can see a drawing of it. And it is like a bench in that it's long and it goes inside and outside of the tub. It's not used for a shower. It's used to help people deal with stepping over into the tub when that is dangerous and difficult. So this spans the side of the tub, and that is why we sometimes use a tub transfer bench, and we want people to know about it. Also to mention, we thought was important that if you have a tub with sliding glass doors, it is really important to think about taking away the sliding glass doors and putting on a shower curtain rod with a shower curtain. As you can imagine, any falls into a sliding glass door could be terrible. So here we are introducing you to the tub transfer bench for tubs, and we'll go on to the next slide. So I will continue with this subject, if you will, the idea of stepping over the side of the tub. So as we said, and as you see here, this is the transfer bench. And another thing we wanted to mention about it is that it does allow water to go onto the floor because, as you might imagine, your shower curtain or whatever you have there, the water can splash. So there is something called a split shower curtain, and we highlighted in red for you to see. There are just many mouse traps out there, and we're trying to get as many as we can, so you really do have an idea how to create a safe environment. And of course, grab bars, but we'll go into that shortly, and we'll go on to the next slide.
Could I just mention something about the tub shower?
Please.
If there's a possibility also, there's something called a tub conversion, which is basically they cut out the side of the tub. So that way it just helps someone get in and out of the tub shower more easily. But of course that costs a little more, but just something to consider. Okay.
Okay, next slide.
Okay, so as far as what you can put into the shower or the tub shower, these are photos of chairs and bath stools. So as you can see, the bath stool doesn't have the back support or the armrest, but it's something that can be put into a smaller space if needed. And you can see the legs, they're adjustable as well. So you want to make sure that it's that appropriate height for the person in the shower so that they're sitting comfortably and safely. And just making sure that the chair itself is stable when on the surface. The picture on the right is a shower chair that has, sometimes they have removable armrests and a removable back, which makes it really versatile. So if you can picture that shower chair without the armrest and the back support, it kind of looks like the stool, but it just is a little more stable. And then also too, when thinking about how much support someone needs, you want to make sure to look into armrests and a backrest as well.
And next slide. So as we already mentioned once, bathroom grab bars. And we want to be sure to let you all know that they need to be installed into the wall around the tub or the shower. Suctioned grab bars are notoriously unpredictable, and the suction can eventually go slowly deteriorate, and you're pulling on this, and you and the grab bar and everything don't stay where you want to be. You end up on the floor. So please don't consider that. They need to be installed. And of course, if you're a renter, you'll need your landlord's approval. We also wanted to mention something called a tub transfer rail, which clamps onto the side of the tub. And that is really considered fairly safe, not easily coming up off, and that can be an option. So that's what we needed to tell you about grab bars, a good thing to get if needed. And we'll go to the next slide.
Okay, here you see a picture of a handheld shower head, and these are awesome. So oftentimes a fixed shower head doesn't give you the option to be able to shower thoroughly. But if someone is sitting in a shower chair, or if not, having a handheld shower that you can hold can allow you to shower, or one, to shower thoroughly, get the feet, private parts, and all that very well. So this of course requires some installation, so make sure to get some help if you're not very handy with tools, but it's just requiring someone to remove the actual fixed current shower head and then attaching this one. There's also an option for a holder for the shower head, which could be a little lower, because oftentimes it could be too high for the person to reach. So you can also look into having something installed to hold the shower hose a little lower in the shower.
Wow, great. All right, next slide. We just, oh, yes, of course, the transfer pole. And this is another option, okay? This is another mouse trap, if you will. These are mounted with like a shower curtain, if you will. It doesn't require bolts and screws and holes. It's tension mounted, and by screwing and unscrewing, you create the tension to get this pole to be sturdy for use in the transfers, many different kinds of transfers, from the toilet to the wheelchair, from the bath bench to the wheelchair. It's, as you can see, it's a handy thing, and also can be used in the bedroom. So transfer pole, if you've not heard of it, it's pretty handy and easy to install. All right, yes, and this is my creation, so you can see it's a little goofy and whimsical like I am. And what I wanted to say here with this picture of an airplane is that when you are getting this equipment for your loved one to create safety and their ability to stay independent, you really want to find the easiest and safest solution. So I say, why learn to fly an airplane when you have a stairs with a railing? Just use the stairs. So it's less complicated. So that's a reason to get what's simple and easiest. It's portable. It's not difficult for other family members to deal with, and it's less expensive. So just wanted to say that. And then the next slide, which follows along, is just to say that we never want to overly help our loved one. And I really want to emphasize this. We want to help. That is our nature. That's why we're caregivers. But if you help too much, people will become more dependent. So it's really weighing the too much help with too little help, finding the golden mean, if you will. So, and I like to say, if you want to stay strong and as able as you can, you have to use it. So we don't want to put somebody in a wheelchair before they need it. We don't want to have somebody sit when they can stand and so on. So I just, as a physical therapist, having worked many years with older adults, this is a guideline for me that I wanted to share. So the next slide, Mel, thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about transfers. So transfers in general are what we call like functional transfers. So that's basically when someone gets up off of the bed, like on and off the bed, that's considered a transfer. Getting from the toilet to a wheelchair is a transfer. Getting up and off of the couch is a transfer. Getting up and off of from the floor, and then getting in and out of the tub or shower is a transfer.
So the next slide, we're going to talk about an important transfer, an important piece of equipment that people do at certain points in their aging process. Not everyone, but and you don't have to be older to need a hospital bed. We wanted to talk about that just a little bit. I think pretty much everybody knows from being in a hospital what they are, but if you are pretty disabled, it can be ordered for you at home with a doctor's orders, and it will be paid for most times by your insurance, Medicare, Medi-Cal, your supplemental insurance. Just to say for your information, they are not usually purchased, but they're rented. The company that supplies it will maintain the equipment. And these are the reasons that, if you don't know already, hospital beds are helpful. The whole bed goes up and down, which makes it easier to bed bath, because you don't want the bed to be low for the caregiver. Um, so you want the bed high. You might want and need the bed low to prevent injurious falls if the person is likely to roll or get out of bed unsafely. And then I'm sure you all know about lifting the head, the foot, or the knee for comfort and safety. And here again is the words of a PT. Don't lure anyone into bed by making it so comfortable to sit there and watch TV in the best position comfy they can, and they become really wedded and too comfortable, if you will. And there are many serious medical consequences to staying in bed too long. So going to the next slide, and Melanie will talk about that.
Okay, so going back to the what Susan was saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. So these are some consequences to being bedbound. So if someone is bedbound, you want to give them options to be able to get out of bed. So because these are some consequences: the compromised breathing, which can ultimately lead to pneumonia. There's skin breakdown, which basically are like pressure sores on wounds on the feet, especially the heels, the hips. So anything that's really pressure on the bed and for a long period of time can cause skin breakdown, and ultimately worse, having pressure sores. And then overall generalized weakness and increased dependence with mobility can happen. And then again, worst case scenario, it can result in depression and decline in cognition. So important to get out of bed if you're able.
Next slide. So on that subject of getting in and out of bed, we have some handy dandy helpers. Um, the first one here we mentioned is the bed handle, and you can see the person in the green pants. And that's just very simple thing that you slide under the mattress and on top of the uh, the platform or whatever is under it, and then it's tied down so it doesn't slip out. These are considered safe and very helpful. The next one to talk about is a transfer board. Maybe you're familiar with it. If you're not, that's pictured right there. It's wooden. Sometimes it's plastic, heavy duty plastic. And it is meant to span from the bed to the wheelchair so the person can slide from the bed into the chair if they cannot stand safely with help or without. And you will be, if this is needed, you should be taught by a therapist how to use it. It could make a big difference. And then transfer pole, which we already showed you a picture of, that is spans the floor to the ceiling, easily installed. And the Hoyer lift there, this is a piece of equipment that will lift someone up from the bed or even from the floor if they should fall and can't get up. And this is really not frequently needed in people's homes, but it exists. And if it is needed, something like this can also be purchased in an electric form. This one is hydraulic, and you might have seen them in the hospital. And when it's needed, it's needed. So, and that's that. And going to our next slide.
Okay, so this is talking about now walking assistive devices. So just wanted to mention a lot of the times people will want to resist using any sort of walking aid because they feel like they will rely on it. But it's really important to consider it, especially if you see your care receiver like hanging onto walls, what we call like using the walls for support. So there are different kinds of devices. There's something called just a regular, like a straight cane, which is a cane without the 4 feet. Then a quad cane, which has feet. And then you might have seen front wheeled walkers before, and there's a picture of it at the top right there. And a front wheel walker is a walker with 2 front wheels. You might have seen them in a hospital setting. And one thing to mention is that they don't work well on uneven surfaces like outdoors. So that's one thing to mention about front wheel walkers. And then also there's something called a rollator walker, which is pictured at the bottom. And that is a walker with 4 wheels. It has brakes. It has the hand brakes, and then it has a seat, which is nice because it gives someone an opportunity to take a break if they need. There's also an under seat bag, which allows them to be hands-free to be able to walk safely. And so, another thing is they have a combination rollator and wheelchair option. So not only is it a rollator, but there's also leg rest that you can turn into like a transportation wheelchair. So that's really, really nice. One thing to mention about assistive devices like this is you want to make sure that it's at an appropriate height. So if you are unclear about that, make sure to reach out to a physical therapist. But just like one thing to keep in mind is let me stand up, I don't know if you can see me, but you want to be able for the top of the device to be at the crease of the wrist. So that's basically the height that you would want it at.
Yeah, so thank you, Melanie. This is about wheelchairs, and this is also an option for folks to get around if they can't walk or they can't walk the distance or the circumstances. So we wanted to talk about two types of wheelchairs. There are more types of wheelchairs, but these are the most basic. And the one we'll talk about first is the transportation wheelchair, which you see pictured there on the top. And it's used to transport someone. So going to doctor's appointments and that sort of thing. It is not recommended for somebody who is using a wheelchair to get around themselves because, as you can see, I think, if you look at the pictures of these two chairs, the one on top, the wheels are small and the person sitting in it cannot reach them to move the wheelchair around. So it's light, easily put into a car, and it's really important for caregivers of individuals who can't walk in the community enough to get to important appointments. The standard wheelchair is got big back wheels that allows the person to push the chair. And these chairs have to be fitted because people usually sit in them all day. They need cushions and so on. And your insurance most probably would cover it with a doctor's prescription. And in that case, if you get it through a doctor and a therapist, you will be instructed on how to use the footrest and the armrests and the brakes and so on. So these are the options for folks who can't or have difficulty with walking. So we'll go to the next slide.
Okay, so in this slide, you will see power mobility equipment. And on the top picture is a mobility scooter. So it comes in 3 or 4 wheels. And you might have seen this in like a grocery store. They have an option to have this available for those that might need it in a grocery store, but that's a mobility scooter. And then also you see a picture of an electric wheelchair. And things to keep in mind about these types of equipment is that it's very heavy. They're difficult to get into and out of cars or even down the stairs. You have to keep them charged because this is electric again. There's some dangers involved in using this type of equipment, which are that it can tip over if say someone is not very careful, or yeah, so running over other people on the road can happen. And there's a learning curve also involved with this. So being able to make safe turns, how to stop safely, being able to reverse, move backward, and also obey traffic rules. And with Daybreak, I am the occupational therapist that goes to that assesses for this type of equipment. So these listed here are some of the things that we look for. So their diagnoses, recent hospitalizations, any recent functional changes, how independent are they inside the home and in the community, how much assistance are they getting, and what type of assistance and for what. Do they have the judgment to manage the power equipment? That is very, very important because it just involves overall safety. So when I do an assessment, there is a cognition test that I do. It's called a Trail A and B test. So that's something that the person has to be able to manage. Another thing is that I look at is have they had a recent hearing test or vision test, because they need to be able to safely hear when they're out in the community, or have the vision to be able to operate one. It's like operating a car, but so things like that should be considered. also what's really important is where are they going to store and charge the equipment? Because like I said, you have to maintain being able to charge it up, because you don't want to be stranded on the side of the road and not have any battery to move the chair. And then also the overall the purpose for a power mobility wheelchair is that it allows someone to move more easily in the community. So if, say, for example, they have a manual chair that they can use, oftentimes someone can fatigue very easily. And especially if they have to go for a far distance, um, that then a power mobility uh, chair can help with that.
Great.
Next slide, please.
We wanted to talk a bit about medical alert systems, and these are primarily for attending to an individual who has fallen and can't get help, can't get up because of they are unable, they're injured, whatever reason. These are fairly common now. And you can see a little bit of a description. They have a base, and then there's a wearable part that the person can use to trigger the alert. And the alerts go to sometimes a caregiver, sometimes it goes to a center that will field the information, or even directly to 911. So there are choices about these things. As you can see, we mentioned a little bit about cost, though mostly we haven't talked about this here in general. And it is an option for some seniors who, though they are at risk for falls, can manage a cell phone and keep that with them. So that could be another option for a medical alert system. But these are common now, and something really important for older adults or anyone who's at risk for falls and needs to be able to call for help. So the next slide now.
Yep.
Mel.
And yep, these are now we're here to talk about alarms. So alarms are really, really helpful, especially when the caregiver is maybe there in the home, but not exactly right there. So some options are a bed alarm. So basically, a bed alarm is an alarm that you could attach to the bed and to the person by it's there's different options where there's a cord or not a cord, but it basically will alert the caregiver if the care receiver has gotten out of the bed. So that's really important because oftentimes, say for example, a person needs more help to get on and off the bed, but they're trying to get out of the bed. This will help alert the caregiver. There's also a seat alarm, which helps to alert the caregiver if the care receiver has gotten up out of the chair. Same thing, say for example, someone's in the wheelchair and they actually need more assistance than to get on and off the toilet, and they're trying to get to the toilet. This is a good alarm to have, because then it will alert you if you're in another part of the home that, hey, your care receiver is trying to get out of the chair, basically. So that's a seat alarm. And then a door alarm is also really helpful to alert the caregiver if the care receiver has actually opened the door, like any door in the home. So this is for someone that might have like wandering challenges. So a door alarm is also really helpful. And so with all of that said, I would like to bring on Christine Chan, who's a friend of mine and also a caregiver and caregiver coach. So Christine, if you can come on.
Thank you so much, Melanie. I appreciate this. Hello to everyone. That was a lot of information. If I were a new caregiver, I can understand how overwhelming that all of the information is. And there is quite a lot of assistive things that can help your loved one. I'm here to basically inform you that it can be overwhelming. And so, one of my things is to ask, do you fully understand your role as a caregiver? Some of you may not have been doing it long, some may have been doing it for years. And when it comes down to it, you're the one that knows how your loved one, what works for their life. You know them best. You can have all the tools, and a lot of times it's overwhelming for the patient and for yourself to try to incorporate all of these things that are meant to keep your loved one safe. And at the end of the day, we're just doing the best that we can. So one of my things to do as a coach is to just help the support the caregiver, give yourself an understanding that it's okay to feel overwhelmed, but I ask that you create a presence and just imagine yourself in your loved one's shoes and what that might look like. I'd like to share a story with you. My father, a few years back, suffered a stroke. And if you knew my dad, you would know that he was just a very vibrant and energetic and very caring, charismatic person. So after he had suffered the stroke, he lost mobility. He definitely wasn't himself, and he willed himself to get well. So after his hospital stay, and part of his recovery was to undergo rehabilitation. We chose a very intensive rehabilitation of a few weeks at John Muir Medical Center. During his stay there, he had therapy every single day, and I'm so grateful to all the occupational therapists and physical therapists, and of course, the medical staff that helped him get well. But it was a struggle because he was so frustrated with not being able to use his body the way that he's used to. He was so frustrated with not being himself. So that takes a lot of toll on a person to have these devices to use when you were normally able to use your legs and your hands and everything. They were helpful, but his psyche was what really got him through. And sometimes you don't know what the disability might take a toll on your loved one. So in his time during therapy, he used all of these assistive devices, and his perseverance was what kept him going to create that independence in himself. It was remarkable because he did get well. He was the model patient. Um, he actually willed himself to actually drive again too, which is not always the case. So as I think back to when he was in the hospital and when he was rehabilitating, I think back to putting myself and watching my dad using the walkers, using the tub transfers, and using um, the wheelchair, which he may have fought, but he silently did not let the people know that he wasn't wanting to be that person. And that is what created that will for him to get better, not only for himself, but for his family, who he knew the caregivers were all trying to just support him. And it was a lot on them. So, as I share this story with you, the reason why is because I am trying to, as a coach, just allow caregivers to understand that it is a hard role, that it is one that requires so much patience and so much understanding, and oftentimes very, very selfless acts of being there for someone else when oftentimes you have your own struggles going on. I Some of the things that helped me get through a lot of the caregiving struggles and challenges, as I've caregived for um, several of my elderly family who went through dementia, Alzheimer's, and high blood pressure, strokes, and recovery from heart attacks and whatnot. One of the things that helped me was basically being able to understand that it is my journey to help them, but it is truly happening to your loved one who they may not understand as well. So it's a journey that you two work together, or the family works with your loved one. Um, be kind to yourself and allow yourself those moments that it feels may feel overwhelming, but you also just know you're an angel to that person that you're caregiving for. Another thing would just be to let go of the things that you can't control. We have all these things that are put in place, and there's many support systems between therapists, but also just know that it's a lot on yourself psychologically, as well as a person that it's happening to, your loved one who you're caregiving for. And the last thing is just be patient with yourself. A lot of people are not going on the same timeline as you. It may be slow going, and that patience and understanding and love is so key to when you're caregiving for your loved one. So it is a lot, and it can be very overwhelming and frustrating. But just know that you are there for a reason, and that life is happening for you, not to you. And it's meant to for you to grow. And if anything, concentrate on those times that you can just spend with your loved one, because you just never know. I thank you so much for this time, Melanie, Susan, and to Daybreak for allowing me to be here. If you do need any sort of support system and feel like you just want a little bit more coaching through this caregiving journey of yours, please feel free to email. I would love to have that conversation with you. And I wish you all well.
Um, on our next slide, we do have some information um, that you can see here with how to contact myself, Melanie, and Christine. And you can see here Christine's email. I really want you to know that there are ways to get support that I think Christine was talking about your role. You can see here in our next slide that about Daybreak and our mission to support caregivers. And we really wanted you to know that we have caregiver support groups that are free. They are online and also in person, as you can see here at Eden Baptist Church in Oakland. And being in a group with other caregivers that is facilitated by a skilled therapist is an amazing thing to help you through. If it's a coach, one person, or it's all the people in your group who know what you're going through, it's really a profound help. And you can see here how to reach us. It's our phone number and there's our website. And thank you so much for coming on this this webinar today. And or if you're watching the recording, please contact us, Christine, myself, Melanie. We're here and there's help for you. And here's some ideas of where to get it. So a little extra help. And a special big thank you to Cora, who is here with us live today, just to mention. We know her, we love her, she's a caregiver, and thank you for coming, Cora.
Bye.
Thank you for inviting me. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.